Hey, everybody. I want to talk to you today about an activity that you could set up, and hopefully not a lot of time to put everything together, but an activity you could set up and use as a connection piece for your in-person learners and your hybrid learners. And the idea of this is Flipgrid book clubs. With our current schedule of 2 hours and 15 minutes per session, there's not a lot of time in the day, and there's not a lot of time for the things that we really love to do. And I know that book clubs is a really great way to group our readers, encourage students to have conversations about themes, about characters, about whatever it is that you're sort of pushing in terms of academics, but can pull out in terms of an engaging novel that you can use with your book clubs. Well, book clubs are hard right now. We're not able to sit next to each other very closely, and we have kids at home and we have kids in person. And sometimes we think, like, what is a good way to bring these groups together? Possibly during an asynchronous time, or possibly during a Wednesday as an activity for students to engage in while everyone's at home. So these Flipgrid book clubs could be the answer for possibly a lot of things you've been thinking about or trying to get into there. And that's what I want to talk to you a little bit about today. So the very premise of the book club is using a few tools to put this all together. One would be a Google slide to create a piece, or to create a book club clubhouse for your kids to meet at and to respond to. The second tool we'll be using is Flipgrid, and that'll actually be the piece where students are able to leave comments about the book, most likely driven from a prompt that you've given them within the comments there, but just as sort of like the driving force behind the book club, depending on how often you run it or what your particular English language ELA focus might be. This would be the place for the conversation to take place, and Flipgrid being a good place for that to be, because students can leave a comment, and then other students can comment back to that, or there can be some interaction back and forth, which is where we could start to find a place for our at home and our in-person learners to interact together, albeit in a digital format there. And the last tool would be Seesaw, or currently Google Classroom, or perhaps Canvas, depending on which of these learning management systems that you're using as your hub for learning. Those are the three tools that we'll be using just to kind of get things started. I'm not going to get into creating a Flipgrid book clubhouse, because really it's the basic premise is the idea of creating a Google slide, perhaps a Bitmoji Google slide, where you've kind of made that your hub for learning. If that's something that you haven't done in a while, or you just want a little refresher, please get a hold of me. We can definitely walk through just how to add these different elements in there. Honestly, I just found a really good looking Flipgrid book clubhouse online, and I just copied it. Got a background, copied and pasted some picture, book icons in there, threw in a bookshelf. Like, it's just bringing images in and then linking out to them. Well, in this case, I've got my clubhouse going on here. I've got my instructions that I've got on the whiteboard. Just a little reminder for students that when you're in Flipgrid, you're going to press that green button with the plus to record. But more importantly, I've got our book club books at the top up here. And each one of these books is going to be a link to a Flipgrid where students can then engage with each other on these book conversations, questions, reflections, whatever. I also thought, because I was one of those kids, I always forgot which book I was reading. I put the sorting hat down here, and that could just be a simple link to a Google Doc that has a list of all the book club members. So if a student forgets that they are a part of the book club of Better Nate Than Never, then they just remind themselves and then head back to the book clubhouse. Well, right now, I do not have Clayton Bird Goes Underground linked to a Flipgrid yet. So I was going to just jump into Flipgrid and create that space and then link it real fast. And then we'll actually take this book clubhouse and then put it into Seesaw there. To create a Flipgrid place, I'm going to navigate over to Flipgrid now. I'm going to log into Flipgrid, and what I want to do is create a topic. There are ways that you could super group things if you wanted to, like CDL or in person or whatever. I'm kind of just a topics person. I have a lot of topics in there, but that's just kind of the way I operate. So I'm going to go ahead and create a topic, and this topic is going to be titled Clayton Bird Goes Underground. Awesome. And in here, I'm going to go ahead and add any prompts that I'd like to ask my students to address. I would probably do it week by week. Week one, what? Just an example question of what you might ask kids to submit a video response on, and each week it could just become a different avenue of where you're looking to go with this book study. Okay, so I've got a title and I've got some prompts in there, and that's exactly what students are going to see when they jump in and take a look around. If you wanted to, please feel free to record a video going over what it is you're looking for, whether that's like an introductory video to these Flipgrid book clubs or whatever it is you'd like to do. There is a way for you to add your voice to this as well. I'm going to move down a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and click on student email, because that's the way that I want my students to be able to access this. And I always do at pps.net for staff, and then at student.pps.net for students to access. And that way, I know my students are logging in on a Chromebook. They've already logged in with their PPS student account. It'll be a very quick and easy transition to go from the book clubhouse, Flipgrid Book Clubhouse, into the Flipgrid. Okay, now as far as this goes, this is where I want to make sure I got a couple of things turned on. Topic moderation. If you'd like to get started and have the moderation on just to make sure that everything's appropriate and you're feeling like you can trust your kids, you could definitely turn moderation on. I'm going to leave it off for this example. I'm just going to hit the others. Record time, you can decide how long the recording might be. Maybe it's just about a minute. Like sometimes we want to give them enough time, but not more time to just go on and on and on. I do like to leave video and text comments on, but that is up to you. You may choose to gradually release the ability to comment and add video comments back and forth between students. You might start with just text comments, or you might start with none. It really just depends on your comfort level and then what you'd like to see out of your students. In the end, though, really this place is about connection between our students at home and our students in class. So the more that they can interact, the better. So in this instance, I'm going to leave video and text comments. Closed captions, I'll leave that there. And okay, everything's looking good. So I'm going to go ahead and create this topic. Now, what I love, as soon as it creates topic, it says that it's ready to go. And I can go ahead and just quickly copy this URL. And I'm going to go back to my Flipgrid Book Clubhouse. And with Clayton Bird already highlighted, I'm going to go up to the link. I'm just going to paste that in, and I'm going to go ahead and press apply. Okay, now when a student clicks on this link, they're going to be able to scroll down to click on the link, and it's going to go straight to Flipgrid, walking them through where they need to go. So Clayton Bird Goes Underground by Mr. Hoxie, and I'll just instruct my students or navigate them to join with Google, and that'll just prompt them to say yes or agree or to make sure that they've logged in, and it'll get to that prompt. I'm going to go ahead and say yes with Google. It's going to go through this particular account. Just say yes, just say my PPS account, and we're logged in successfully. And this is exactly what every student will see. We got the title, we got the week one prompt, and then we can go ahead and record a response. Oh, that's not the same plus as I have on my little graphic. I'll have to change that. Okay. Well, when you have created your Flipgrid Book Clubhouse, you want to get it to your students. So most of us have been using Seesaw this year as that hub or that platform to push these activities to. That's exactly what we're going to continue doing. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm actually almost done. I'm not quite done, but when I am finished, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to publish this to the web. I'm going to do this by going to File, and I'm going to scroll down until I see, where did you go? Publish to the web. And I'm going to go ahead and I don't worry about any of these things because it's just one slide. I am going to push the publish button and then OK. And then I've got this link I'm going to grab. Now, what I can do with this link is I can just put it into my Seesaw account. Now I've navigated over to my Seesaw account, and this will be our last stop. So when I've got my link published and I want my kids to get to our book Clubhouse, I'm going to go ahead and add. And this might be an activity. And I'm going to go ahead and click on activity there. Oops, I'm sorry. I need to go back, actually. It's not an activity that's already made, but we're actually going to post student work. Okay. Well, what I've done is I've captured this link, and I know that I could actually navigate over to the upload straight from Google, but I kind of like the way that the link works a little bit better when I assign this to my class. You can use either way. It'll get them to the exact same place. You just choose which method or which path works for you. Now that I've chosen add a link, I'm going to go ahead and drop my link in there, and I'm going to go ahead and push the little green button that moves to the next step. If there's any information you'd like to add in terms of more text or maybe an audio of what students should be doing, please take the time to go ahead and add that right there. But I'm going to go ahead and just move forward and get this ready to go, and I'm going to assign it out to my students. Once assigned out there, that will be showing up at the top of their journal there, and students are able to go ahead and use this as their gateway into their book clubs. They will have to click on it, which will take a moment to open up inside the sample students post. And from there, they can go ahead and click on each one of the different book clubs. It'll navigate them to their book club. Oops, sorry. It'll navigate them to their book club as soon as they click it. And then they can join with Google. All right, that was a very quick run over of how we can create an online space for our in-person and our at-home students to connect together, a place that could be used online when you are not with these particular students, whether it's asynchronous on the off time with you, or perhaps something to use on a Wednesday. If you have any questions or would like help just walking through this, or if you and your team would like together as a PLC to look at how we can create a Flipgrid book club, please do not hesitate to reach out. These are the kinds of things that are the most fun to do.